Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much, Anne-Marie. We've got just a couple minutes, guys, until the polls close in much of Canada. Scott, your thoughts on
It's
advance voting and how it may impact things?
Why don't I give you a specific?
It's Minecraft time.
Conversation
Time for Minecraft. It's time to react to these guys yapping.
He's, behind by a handful of votes. I'm told by his riding that of the advanced polls, 3 out of 25 of the advanced polls have been counted, but only 3 out of the 25. So that gives you an indication.
Only
of
3?
about how you can come charging from behind. So when all of those are counted, my suspicion is Sean Fraser will win.
I really hope I don't get like a copyright strike or anything from CTV.
Polls that have been counted from the advance, he's been well ahead. So we may see that phenomenon occur in a couple more.
I think it'd be fine.
Ridings. And again, popular vote overall.
It'll all work out.
Liberals are ahead by 11%. So I'd be careful about extrapolating.
Isn't this like the rarest biome in like Minecraft?
The good thing is we only have about 30 seconds left until we know.
That's even better.
Until we start to know, I should say. Last 30 seconds to you, Corey.
Yeah, well, we do have a little bit of insight into who's voted in the advance polls because there's been a lot of polling done of the electorate and asked the question, did you vote in the advance polls? And the data on that shows
Looking like the Liberals are up right now, but they were yapping about stuff. Like I think it'd go either way.
Now that could be because it was over a long weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But we didn't see anything really surprising, or at least I didn't, in terms of the demographic complexion of those voters. It's probably more a reflection of who had a better ground game in a given riding. To the point that that Tom made earlier. Campaigns with more organization tend to do better in the advance polls.
And we shall see.
I guess I gotta wait for Minecraft. Now it's kind of quiet. It's back. We're back. I had to skip to live.
We will build out the vision of an East-West nation that John A. brought to this country.
We're going to fight back and defend those jobs. We're going to fight back and defend our country.
4 viewers, let's go. I knew this was a great idea.
Where housing is a right, not a luxury.
Can I be mod? Yeah. Masonverse? Mods, can we mod this guy? Mods, can we please mod this guy?
2025. Once again, Omar Sachedina and Vashi Kapelos.
Welcome back to the heart of CTV News election headquarters, where the polls have now closed. Good evening. The tension is high, and so are the stakes. Canada's next government is
KK. Let's see who the government is. Can't forget.
Comes down to this: the end of a kind of unprecedented stretch, the unpredictability as we've seen.
See, it's all about the revenue. It's all about the revenue. You guys will never understand.
Canada's finest political minds as we examine just exactly how we got here and what happens next.
Heather Butts is with us with a look.
I need to go to a village. I need to create politics.
Heather, I'll throw it over to you. Where do things stand?
Vashi, thanks so much. What an exciting evening. We've already seen those polls close in Atlantic Canada earlier this evening. Then, of course, now a massive portion of our country closing just now. But let's remind people of where we were at dissolution. So the
What?
at dissolution, the
What? What? This is some liberal propaganda. This is some liberal propaganda right here. Guys, can I get a what?
Now, we do have a few more seats up for grabs this evening. That is because there is one additional seat in
Like anything trying to grow anywhere in Canada but Saskatchewan or Alberta.
That is because of population growth,
What?
change, and redistribution of ridings. So we have.
Do I gotta manually mod you? Hold on. I gotta fix this.
And that this evening we will have 343 elected and heading to Ottawa. But of course, the main number that we are keeping a very close eye on this evening is 172.
No way. We got them cold pigs.
The parties vying for that.
Holy, this is crazy. This is something else.
This is from the CTV News decision desk. Right now,
We found it.
that the Liberals could get a range of seats.
What are we gonna call this, Liberalville?
138 to 100.
Because I'm going to enact
perhaps crossing
the
that
policies.
majority marker of 172. The projections for the Conservatives getting a range of anywhere from 114 to 148. Now, of course, these numbers are based on
This place looks pretty cool, actually. I should probably...
analysis, and a lot of numbers
Whoa.
goes into this, but these numbers will shift throughout the evening as your votes are counted. We'll of course keep a very close eye on the NDP.
Septum piercings? What are you talking about? No, no, no. These liberal. I'm going to make them. I'm going to force them all to be transgender. That's what happens in Liberal Down.
Will ebb and flow this evening as parties perform. 172, though, that is the magic marker, if you will, the number that we're keeping a very close eye on as this evening unfolds. Back to you.
Clip chat. No, that's fine.
Heather Butts with some early projections, and the big news right now is that polls in much of the country, the bulk of ridings, the majority of them, 267, have just closed. I want to throw up, it's very early, like we were a little while
It's very early, guys. Don't forget it. It's night's still young. It's not Jover yet.
Champagne's riding. He is currently the Minister of Finance. He too decided, like Melanie Joly, not to run for the leadership of the party once Mark Carney announced he would intend to do so. He has a very small lead there. We can throw it over to some more results.
Yeah, from Les Pays d'en Haut, the Liberal has a lead of 21 votes right now. Again, just two of the 200.
No. You can't join because if anything happens. If I open anything else, my whole PC might crash. This thing is a ticking time bomb, and it's amazing that it's actually running this well with the stream.
The Bloc Québécois candidate there, Alexis Duchesne, who has the lead right now.
In Essex, by the way, big...
What? What are you gonna do?
Very impressive. Chris Lewis with the lead, the incumbent, the Conservative...
My fault. Sorry. You look the same. You look... That's...
reporting there, but the results from provinces where polls have closed are starting to come in, including very quickly here, a lead for David McGuinty, currently serving as the Minister of Public Safety. He's the incumbent in the riding, the McGuinty family, of course, well known in the province of Ontario. Leslyn Lewis, the incumbent in Haldimand, Norfolk. She is kind of one of the front bench people in some respects for the Conservative Party. She ran for the leadership a number of years ago.
Stop what? I'm not even doing anything. What did I do?
And the reason this next match is so significant, as we mentioned, is just because of the rich seat count there is, right? We know that there are 343 seats up for grabs, and the region we're talking about now, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan,
What you want, bro?
Nunavut, Northwest Territories represent 200.
I think he wanted to fight.
So things are
Liberal snowflakes.
Extremely interesting. In Yellowhead, we've got some more results.
I'm wasting experience. No, I'm not. Look at someone doesn't know. Someone did not do the testing. Someone doesn't know, but it carries over. Look.
Reporting that.
And I think do we have some additional results coming in? I think so. Yeah, we're looking
Stupid.
at Lethbridge, Rachel Thomas, who's the incumbent there. Public safety critic among
Nitwit take. I just showed your ass.
At one poll reporting has a lead, not a surprise. Michelle Rempel Garner, 6 polls reporting a commanding lead of nearly 1,000 votes for her. I would be shocked if anything different happened in that.
I need a librarian. I need a geographer, because the geographer can tell me where to go.
In Calgary.
In Surrey Moose Mountain, we see that the Conservative is leading substantially by a vote lead of 407 votes. Again, just one of the 211 polls reporting there. Battleford's Lloydminster, Meadow Lake, Rosemary Falk, the Conservative incumbent, with a lead of 1,500 votes right now.
What am I looking for? What am I doing?
We heard this earlier from Tara Nelson.
I forgot.
Looking to see if there's any movement in some of the ridings. The Liberals had hope. Hey, if things are as good as we think they might be, we could swing there. So far, no evidence of that, but obviously very
no. I need iron. That's what I was doing. I was gonna go kill stupid. I just needed to eat first. There you are. You're hiding. I was wondering what I was supposed to do, but he was trying to hide from his inevitable fate. Come here, you stupid. Dropping frames, bro. I've got 5 different errors. This sucks.
Basically, the path to government has to go through Ontario and Quebec, and the path to a majority certainly has to go through both of those provinces for whomever is able to secure government. I think particularly in certain parts of Ontario, we've heard it from many people tonight in the Greater Toronto area. Like, if this is not going to be what the Liberals thought it was going to be, we're going to know there, right? The Conservatives will make significant gains there, or some
Is this optimal?
that will indicate something different happening in Ontario
form the next government, whether it's a majority or a minority. We could find that out momentarily. But then the other, storylines that come below that are the political futures of the other leaders. What happens on next?
Just not even. I'm not even gonna react actually.
Parties, Elizabeth May and also with Jagmeet Singh, we saw
Iron. I already had iron. Wait, I'm actually stupid. I'm just tweaking.
So whatever
Get out my crafting table.
Obviously, that is a party where they have the bulk of their seats. That will have a significant impact on the future of that leader as well. So lots of skin in the game.
Also struggling, Maxime Bernier. Just one poll, the leader of the People's Party of Canada, currently in 4th place in that riding.
But there's so much skin in the game for all of these leaders. Obviously, Mark Carney wants to keep his job as Prime Minister. Pierre Poilievre wants his job. And then we talked about the others as well. Again, this riding of Beauce, where Maxime Bernier is
problem solved.
in last place right now. Again, one poll reporting of 245 with the Conservative candidate leading there.
And we keep our eyes peeled for any additional.
Hello? Lapis?
I think there are some more. It's going to be a
Just paid attention. All of a sudden, Lapis, bro.
Lots to count. There's also the huge advance vote portion. We've been talking all night about a record
Come
of
on,
7.3
man.
million Canadians. That all has to be counted.
Come on, dude.
Looking here at Ajax, we're getting closer to the Greater Toronto area. Just
The house.
reporting there.
House.
The Liberal leading Greg Brady, Jennifer McKelvey leading Greg Brady. We'll keep an eye, of course, on other ridings in the GTA. There are some specific ones where the Liberals eked out a victory, for example, in the last election. I mentioned Aurora before.
What if Iron Golem actually hated me? I don't know.
And what story that tells. The
I guess-
primary thing that I think we're watching for right now is there
Guess
were
we'll never know.
in Atlantic Canada, the entire popular vote we don't think has been counted because of advance votes. But the idea that Sean for his seat, the idea that the Liberals are underperforming
Another day, another
in the aggregate, the
Canadian election.
they're outperforming. The key question now throughout the next round of results.
Why are
is
you
whether
still?
that
Why are you still
translates,
Mason?
Whether that is a trend or becomes a trend, because that will have a very different
That's stupid.
impact on the outcome.
And Heather had the floor, the ceilings for each of those parties just minutes ago. And
Oh,
even
yeah, I am
at
stupid.
the
You're
best
Mason
case
because I put
scenario
that
for
there.
Liberals right now. And again, the caveat there being that as the votes are counted, these
I
floors
don't know,
and
man.
ceilings- But I believe that the ceiling that you have.
Nah, I
for
knew
the
you were gonna
Libs
say.
was
I knew you were
178,
gonna
so
say
that
something.
is past
I knew
majority,
you were gonna say
territory,
something.
but not that much past. 172 is the number that we are looking for, majority territory.
Do
So
I
we'll
think-
see if some of these
I don't know.
trend lines that we've been
I don't know what I
seeing in
think.
Atlantic Canada develop through the rest
To
of the
make
country-
stuff here, gotta
country,
put
what
stuff
these
there. I
other
wanna
items, 267 of them
I wanna not
counted
die,
in the minutes to come, because
ideally.
A substantial amount of the votes are about to be counted. And by the way, these are all hand-counted ballots. We don't have computer systems or machines in this country to be able to do that. So at times it could.
You don't
take
have
just
machines to be able to
others, particularly in the
do
riding
what?
of Carlson, Pierre Poilievre's riding. We'll see and bring you those results as soon as they happen. But let's go right now to Geneviève Beauchemin, who is with the Liberals in Ottawa tonight. And Jen, what's the sentiment there right now?
It's raining sideways.
Concerned about the situation at Atlantic. Certainly they're looking at those numbers, but what we're told is that they're looking, of course, much more closely right now at those numbers in Ontario, those numbers in BC. Vashi was talking about the fact earlier that a majority government here goes through
You know.
Ontario. They need Ontario, of course, to form a government.
Does he
And that would
know?
be a very key part, but we're always
I
told
think-
that there's
listen.
the government in Ontario.
I think
and
we gotta ask the
government
real
goes
question
through
here.
Quebec,
Does
and
he?
those are the
Does he
numbers
know?
they're looking at very closely. Right now, the atmosphere is changing a little bit here because people are starting to arrive. As those polls closed, the doors opened here, and so we're seeing some workers, some people who were volunteers trickling in, talking about what it's been like on the ground. We'd been told that with the party that, they wanted those volunteers out there. They didn't expect anybody to be here much before 9:30. They wanted them to be out there working every single door to ensure that there would be coming, that there would be as many votes as possible. But now those people are starting to arrive here, and they're talking about what it's been like. There's still a lot of enthusiasm. There's still a lot of people who said, look, a few months ago, this was such a different situation. Now we've been
Totally trap his I could totally trap his right there. Actually, that's gonna be playing.
We've been feeling it on the ground. We know
Gonna be
that
the
this is
sneaky
happening.
little
We're
trap.
just waiting to see
Sneaky
exactly
little
how
trap that I'm
unfolds.
gonna spring on that
Numbers up there,
sucker.
but, they've got their red dresses on. We've seen
That
people with
stupid
hockey shirts
little
on,
guy.
people coming here
Silly
and are
fella.
ready to celebrate.
Oh, he's got.
They're just
He could
right
just
now
walk
looking
out.
very closely at those numbers
Right?
and seeing
You could just walk out of that thing,
what
right?
kind of a party they may have tonight.
All right, still
I think so.
stake, and we'll see what happens when those results start coming in.
Oh hell no!
Yeah, we're staying
hell.
very focused on that ticker at the bottom to see where things stand. Big, huge number of ridings that will certainly inform our ability to be able to
Get stuck, you get stuck, bro. Okay, now if I find a lush cave, we're goated.
At this moment in time, Abigail, you've been saying they were kind of happy with the results in Atlantic here, surprised in a good way. What are they telling you about what they think their prospects
Hold
are
on.
in Ontario, in Quebec, and some of the other bigger
So
provinces
just
that are less easy to predict than, for
is this
example,
always 4?
Saskatchewan for them?
If that's always 4, then
Right,
okay.
well, you know, you're telling me
That's
that
easy.
you are closely watching that ticker, and I can tell you that everybody in this room is doing the exact same thing. When you look at the shots of the crowd here, we have people with their arms crossed, 10 sides on the screen. I've switched over to these headphone.
Oh, I forgot to look at the ticker. We're still liberals are still winning. Let's go, Liberal Town, putting in the work.
Coming in, so this is a room that is very anxious for some good news. But to your question about what the campaigns are saying,
Goose in a shoe? No way.
So we have been
Funny.
told that Ontario
I do remember you. I remember you, goat. Tony Gaglani the goat. That's crazy. Listen. It's been a while because I honestly forgot. I just forgot. I got busy.
I've been texting furiously with a number of campaign sources and nobody offering up anything new in the last few minutes because I think safe to say it is a wait-and-see situation. Everybody with their eyes glued to the screen, and I just heard some boos. Not sure what came in over my shoulder there at this moment.
Come on.
Engaged crowd.
I was getting a hoe. I was going to make a your mother.
So much, Abigail. That's Abigail Beeman for us at Conservative headquarters as they
Work. Good boy.
Stay tuned for the results coming in from the majority of the seats reporting.
Also staying tuned is Judy Trinh with the NDP in Burnaby tonight, and polls closing there in about 16 minutes time. And what happens in BC could
You guys don't know this strat.
determine Jagmeet Singh's future, Judy.
That's right. Omar, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what a campaign worker just told me about how difficult it has been campaigning on behalf of Jagmeet Singh in his riding of Burnaby Central. He said that in certain areas, because of redistricting, there are strong Liberal supporters there. But one of the challenges that campaign workers are facing in terms of getting out the vote is this idea of strategic voting. They are telling me
Referred to your parent.
supporters, which
What does?
are usually a solid block for them, especially
Oh,
in this
oh.
area of British Columbia.
I'm sorry?
They're saying that NDP supporters
I apologize. Your mom broke.
scared of Donald Trump, scared of
What you doing, bro? Come on. Just like square up.
to the Liberals, to Mark Carney. And so the volunteers, the campaign workers are spending a lot of time talking to these people, saying, please, you know what? We can be your voice. The NDP can be your voice.
I made another your mom.
To be the voice of accountability. We were successful in pushing the former Liberal government to enact childcare, pharmacare.
Okay, so.
as well as dental care. We were a key
What's
part of
the
that.
boom,
So
bam,
they
bop?
have to make this argument over
Did I
and
have
over
no?
again because there is this fear. Now,
They are there are.
in Ontario and Quebec,
Yeah,
there
we.
are 6 seats,
Okay.
that the NDP have. So those are in flux right now, and everyone's watching them very carefully.
Blah 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 blah. Mine. My crop.
Thank you so much in Burnaby,
My crop.
Columbia.
An interesting story.
Are you
already
beef?
beginning
What are
to
you
develop.
doing? What are you beefing with a child, bro?
We don't have final counts.
This dude's here to be the Trump.
We can see, leading in a number of seats are Mark Carney's Liberals, who look to potentially pick up at this point in time 7 seats. The Bloc, another, the big story. It's at the Bloc's expense.
The block. I keep
6 seats at this
says the
point.
block, and I keep thinking of the Fortnite.
3 of Quebec seats. Let's head to Jeremy Charron. He's actually at the Bloc Québécois headquarters, their campaign headquarters tonight
Ooh,
in
hello.
Montreal. Jeremy, give us a sense of what their expectations were and how this must be disappointing to them.
Yeah, absolutely, Vashi. I think supporters here are hoping those numbers are wrong, that's for sure. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record here, I'm going to repeat a bit of the same story as Judy just did, because interestingly, I just had conversations with campaign staff here that echo the exact same thing as Judy was just talking about. And, it makes sense because both the Bloc and the NDP have run a similar campaign here towards the end, pitching themselves as a party that could...
I don't know, right now it's kind of just them yapping about things that I don't really understand while I'm making the farm. Making a farm.
From voters was fears of Donald Trump and how they were, likely going to vote.
The Bloc Minecrafter. Yo! This is a crafting table.
Messaging change from their leader, Yves-François Blanchet, that, what we saw in the polls...
So I like it when they break into French, because I'm just not expecting it.
Let's not let the Liberals get a majority. You don't need to fear
Okay, so...
government getting it anymore. Instead, ensure you're sending enough Bloc MPs back to Ottawa to
Hmm.
ensure that Quebec's priorities are focused. So interesting to hear very similar stories here from Bloc Québécois campaign staffers as NDP staff, as both of those parties fight for kind of the same outcome here, or the same role, if you will, in the next government.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeremy. Jeremy Charron at the Bloc Québécois headquarters. That potentially emerging as a very significant...
Well, it's not even half the country. It's like almost... I actually don't know. I should not speak on the percentage of the French population of Canada. I don't want it to become a sensitive topic in the future.
And these numbers, as you saw, are fluctuating.
Just because I don't know. I don't want to just start spouting something on it. I'm pretty sure it's like a third. No, I don't know. I've got no idea.
Obviously, the main beneficiary there.
Flint and Steel. What do you? Apple.
Good news for the Liberals. Wait to see some more results, but I'm just looking at the result for Central Nova, which is a riding in Canada that we keep going back to over and over again, and you can see there, Vashi, just how much of that.
Like, I'm investing in time. I'm investing in. Is that gonna work for long enough?
Yeah, it's still very tight.
It's like,
I want to go to Todd Battis.
Say that, sure.
To get your reaction. We're still waiting, Todd, to figure out if advanced polls will have an impact on this. But
51%, 51.8% of Canadians speak French. My God. But what's the percentage that speak English? Because there's got to be like crossover or something.
He held major portfolios under Justin Trudeau.
Two major portfolios, immigration and housing, and you're right. And at last glance, the lead for Bryson Jenkins of the Conservatives is 279 votes. And it's interesting, I want to go back to something Scott Reed mentioned on your panel earlier about whether those advanced polls are being counted at the same time or if they're still outstanding, and whether that can have an impact on the final results of that, because it is just so close right now in northern Nova Scotia. So that's certainly one where the advanced pollings, the advanced votes, if those are being counted a little later towards the end, that could have an impact on that particular riding. I'll go quickly to another one, Cumberland Colchester, also in Nova Scotia. The incumbent Dr. Stephen Ellis, his numbers have been waxing and waning. He's up 1,000 votes now. We'll certainly keep a close eye on this one because, again, this is one that the Conservatives would dearly love to hold if they're going to have a good showing here in Atlantic Canada. But certainly the star seat, or the star riding so far of the night right now, is Central Nova Scotia, and we'll watch that carefully. Okay, let's go to Montreal and Matsumi.
Well, we said earlier in the evening that Trois-Rivières was a riding.
Go near extinct by 2028, by the way. What does that even mean? Like pumpkin, like all pumpkins? Don't they have a seed bank? Like to get the pumpkin? I don't think that's true.
It's a real three-way. Going into it tonight, it was too close to call.
Spider Jockey!
Running third after the Liberals and the
I forgot what it's called for a second. I was like, what? It's called I'm gonna lose.
A very good indicator of what might happen here in Quebec. We'll take a look at the other riding.
Take me home. Take me home to the place where I belong.
For a while, because the results here came in about 30 minutes earlier, because it's in an earlier time zone. It's really, really tight. It's been going back and forth between the Bloc and the Liberals.
Spider jockeys exist IRL. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Media personality here.
That scares me.
But as we say, it's still really, really close. They're still going back and forth. But overall,
especially what's happening in Trois-Rivières and also what's happening in Gaspé. The Bloc cannot be very happy tonight so far. Let's see what's going on in Ottawa now. Patricia?
All right, Ms. Timmy, we want to come back to the Carleton riding, which is such an interesting one in so many ways. Pierre Poilievre has held on to it since 2004, but he has never seen this kind of competition, at least in terms of numbers. 91 candidates in that Carleton riding where the ballot is nearly a meter long. I don't have the actual ballot here, but I printed out the names. It's 3 pages worth. And we don't have any results, as you can see yet. It's all very interesting because not only do we have that long ballot with all the names on there, part of a protest from a group called the Longest Ballot Committee. They're protesting the current first-past-the-post electoral system. So could be some delays because of all those names. But it also had, Carleton did, the highest voter turnout in advance polls anywhere in the country. So there's a lot of ballots to count. To mitigate delays, Elections Canada said they were going to begin counting those ballots cast in the advance polls 6 hours before polls closed. Extra teams being brought in. But as you can see, we do not have any numbers out of that key Carleton riding where Pierre Poilievre's running just yet. We want to go back over to Toronto in the Greater Toronto Area and Michelle now.
Thanks, Patricia. Well, the polls have closed here in Toronto and the GTA, and we're starting to get
GTA.
the numbers rolling in here.
GTA. We got another Canada election before GTA 6. That's crazy.
This was Mark Holland's riding, not running for re-election. Jennifer McKelvey running for the Liberals in this riding. She's well known. She was a councillor. She was interim mayor of Toronto for a while. She's hoping to keep the seat red. Greg Brady is a well-known Canadian radio host. He has a show, Toronto Today. So far, Jennifer McKelvey is leading, but we only got one of the polls reporting. This is certainly one that could be a battle, and we'll be watching. And then Markham Stouffville, interesting so far. This is incumbent riding. Now we have a Conservative candidate, a police officer who seems to be leading, but again, it's early days.
We should get married so I can immigrate.
This part of the country, or if people are deciding to stay the course. We'll send it over to Calgary. Tara Nelson.
I'll ask my mom. I'll get back to you on that.
We have one NDP seat on the board so far. There should be a few more coming in as we work our way across the prairies.
What's the score, boss? Score. We got 81 to 56. Whoo! That changed by a lot. Oh boy. Not paying attention. With the one NDP. Thank you, NDP. What, are we gonna get our one representative Green Party dot today or no?
He was also a former city councillor. This was a very big upset in 2021. Diot wants it.
Probably not. Probably not. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? It might take it back. Take back the night.
Pollsters talk about a group of voters called modest metros, and these are young voters in urban areas, and their biggest concern is their financial future and their financial security. There are a lot of them in Griesbach. So if
What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan?
Talk to them about what the
I need more villagers. Where is all the villagers?
He might be able to harness some of that young vote tonight, and that could be what pushes him.
Y'all just hang out here? Is that really okay?
Let's go to Mijong.
Hello?
Thank you, Tara. 3 more minutes till polls close here.
I gotta load this guy back to reality, bro. He was tweaking out in the forest. Come on.
43 ridings up for grabs, many too close to call. If the Liberals are on the path to victory, depending on what happens in the rest of the country, it could come down to BC. The Liberals need to hang on to ridings like Vancouver Centre, home to Canada's oldest MP, Hedy Fry. She's running for re-election. Some say she is unbeatable. Hedy Fry's 83, has been serving in the parliament since 1990.
Hedy Fry, yo!
Who took down former Prime Minister Kim Campbell. Liberals are also banking on retaining North Vancouver.
Yo, that's crazy. She's goat. Hedy Fry.
Wilkinson. And he won handily last time around. We're also watching Burnaby North Seymour held by Terry Beach. He's been the MP there since 2015.
What's the play? I could trap you all in
Sven Robinson
house.
In 2019. The main
That
challenger
burns.
now, though, appears to be the Conservatives. Back to you, Omar, Vashi.
All right, Mijong, thank you so much. Let's bring in our chief financial correspondent, Amanda Lang, right now. And we're watching the story now developing in Quebec.
I don't know.
Quebecois, which is something we had seen heading into this, but now we're seeing to what extent this is playing out. Tell us a little bit about the tariff-sensitive areas of Quebec and how that's impacting what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and so interesting because we knew, of course, that the electorally important Quebec, that the Bloc would need to be ceding seats to the Liberals if the Liberals could form a majority government. And we are seeing, thanks to our friends at the Chamber of Commerce, their business data lab calculated the tariff sensitivity of some regions. And
Yeah, just lock in. You can just figure it out.
Which is, of course, on the St. Lawrence, right between Quebec
hello.
and Montreal.
Come on in.
To tariffs, and it at the moment shows the Liberals leading. It's early.
Welcome to the
sizable lead at the
place.
moment, and the incumbent Bloc is in third place, a narrow third, but still. And the other two very sensitive places, Drummond and Saint Jean, do seem to be tilting to the Bloc. So it's kind of an interesting read on, was the message of Canadian unity, of rallying together behind the flag enough to tilt the balance away from the Bloc in some of these key Quebec ridings? Of course, we're watching it so closely. If you're a Liberal, you have a lot riding on what happens on what it happens in these polls particularly.
Yeah, very much so. And we just wanted to quickly direct your eyes to the screen where we've got an early breakdown of the popular vote at this juncture among the votes that have been counted. The Liberals sitting at 51%, the Conservatives at 39%, the NDP at 4%. In particular, that NDP number, keep in mind we haven't counted British Columbia, but that is low and informing the higher number for the Liberals. I want to turn back to Quebec as we watch more of those results come in, and we can say in the least surprising announcement of the night, that Michelle Rempel-Garner in Alberta has reclaimed her seat as the incumbent candidate, very well-known MP in Alberta.
Interesting, actually, Calgary, another one of the very tariff-sensitive regions.
Tom Becker. We got Tom Becker. We got Addison. Fuck.
Does hold in Quebec. How significant
Look at these guys.
it is. I mean, I know from the Liberal.
You guys think you guys are politicians?
Counting on Quebec to be a part of their story tonight.
All of the math that we've seen that
Michelle Rempel-Garner.
a Liberal majority meant the Bloc kind of collapsed by at least 10 seats.
Okay, sure hope it does.
Have we seen that yet? It's not totally clear, but it's very interesting to see some of these very key ridings in play. When the incumbent's in third place, that says that there's something different in the air.
And we keep talking about this collapse. I mean, just to contextualize it right now, and again, it is early, but at dissolution, the Bloc Québécois had 32 seats and now is leading or elected in 13 seats based on the bottom. The polls closing in British Columbia in 2 seconds time. Amanda, this is another region of the country that we're watching.
Polls have closed in BC. That's crazy. Okay.
You know, when you look at British Columbia too, it's not as exposed to the.
Hello, everybody. What are we doing, gangstrums?
But still, when it comes to softwood lumber,
Why is there still so many people around here, bro?
Of course, BC has been suffering from tariffs much longer. Yeah, that's right. The lumber tariffs, but now we have tariffs on top of tariffs. It's a super sensitive issue, but it does, of course, stand a little bit apart from
stinky.
A little bit divided over how to manage tariffs. You might get more of that national fervor out of BC here. So it will be, I think you've nailed it. The question will be,
I guess Liberals are going to get a whole shibling bling.
Not much hope for the Conservatives there.
The majority. That's crazy.
Across the country. This is a big moment. We will start to see more results come in, more definitive of a look at who will form government, who will become prime minister. This is a very early indication at this juncture. You're looking at some potential seat changes. I'm using the word potential very deliberately because they're based on preliminary results, but we've got
hey, asshole.
Picking up 14 seats potentially, and the Conservatives remaining stagnant.
Yo, it's Stephen for real. I know you. I remember this guy. Thank God. Oh, everyone's back. The gang's all here. This is so great.
Yeah, which has been a fascinating storyline to observe. The number, of course, that Heather's been telling us about is
election time. You know what that means? I have to do something funny, which is streaming Minecraft while I watch it. Steven here. Hello, Steven.
Tracking some of this data, Heather, what can you tell us?
Thank you so much. Of course, everything is changing as this evening goes on. As we've been talking about all night, as your votes are counted, that is when we really start to see things unfold. We're going to take a look now at the CTV News Decision Desk projections. As of right now, in this moment in time,
There's still a bet in here.
Liberals could get a minimum of
Liberals.
146 or
Oh my God, these Liberals don't want to work. These Liberals don't want to work. These Liberals don't want to go into the camp. These stupid Liberals don't want to go into the workforce camp.
They also are conservatives could get a range of anywhere anywhere from 117 to 100.
Time for bed. Where are you going?
These numbers are shifting as your votes are
All
counted.
right, I don't have a home.
To do with historical data, riding demographics, a lot of research, and of course, the numbers that are coming in this evening.
Well, the boys are back in bed.
For the NDP,
Almost.
the Bloc Québécois, we're watching that closely. But again, the majority is
What are you doing, Doug? Are you?
most parties are, of course, the Conservatives.
Forgot where his
are
home
looking
is.
for this evening, so we're keeping a very close eye on that marker of 170.
Skedabbledle. There you go, buddy.
Heather, thank you so much.
You
And
figured
let's,
it out.
Head over to Anne-Marie right now. Anne-Marie, you've got a couple of your panelists from British Columbia right now who I'm sure are watching the results, tracking them pretty closely. A good BC delegation on your panel tonight.
That's right. We've got more than half of our panel is from BC. Who wants
Do
to
I have to nudge you or something?
In the last election campaign, the Liberals
That guy
finished
doing?
third in the popular vote, but came first in the seat totals.
What are you doing, pal?
26% of the vote province-wide.
You're gonna go for my. If you go to my house, I'm killing you. Actually, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can afford that.
British Columbia, very regional province.
What are you doing, Val?
And how the splits are going to go. We see in all the rest of the country, the NDP vote has collapsed. In parts of British
There
Columbia,
you go.
working class parts
There
of
you
British Columbia,
go.
on the island,
Good
working class
boy.
areas of the Fraser River, the NDP second choice ballot can be.
I mean, I guess I'll take it.
Liberal, but for most of the province,
Is that where do you want to go?
Metro Vancouver, the second choice for
What's your
NDP
plan?
breaks 2-1
You're free.
over Conservatives.
I'm freeing you.
You'll see basically
No!
members of parliament coming out of British Columbia. You'll see
My bad.
I think maybe a couple New Democrats. Jenny
My
Kwan,
bad.
probably in Vancouver East. Don Davies, perhaps
Uh-oh.
Vancouver Kingsway. Peter Julian, if he's lucky, and
Okay.
will probably be the only three. I don't think Elizabeth May. Will
Sometimes we gotta take some sacrifices. Sometimes we gotta take some sacrifices.
out of 43 ridings,
Triple digits? What?
20 to show
What?
to a
What are you
third of the
talking
seats
about?
in the province being,
Already? Oh my God!
two-way fights, three-way fights. So as the polls close,
I'm not paying attention. I guess I get BC really closed, didn't it?
Arjun, what do you want to say here?
There we go. Good job, guys. Good job, everybody. Give you a little bit of air. Now, how are we gonna pumpkin parkour to get out? That'd be pretty funny.
The ridings to kind of look out for is Victoria. For us, something that we've done.
Pumpkin parkour to get out is crazy.
I think there's a very good opportunity now. Port Moody, James and I know both of you are from there.
Yeah.
They have an opportunity there. And also, let's not forget, there's also Kelowna. If that flips, that's also going to send a very strong message as well. Steve Fuhrer, who's actually running again, he used to be the member of parliament there. So we have an opportunity there. I think BC is going to be have a very strong showing for the
I need.
And it's going to send a very strong message for the rest of Canada as well.
Pierre Poilievre has spent more time in British Columbia than any leader in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And he's had a particular focus on Vancouver Island, and I think that'll show up well tonight.
Well, and what you'll see on Vancouver Island is going to be, I mean, first of all, can I just say how exciting it is as a British Columbian that we could be deciding the election tonight? I think finally, it's about time. We're in Canada. So the Vancouver Island, you look at the bottom half of it, it is
Oh, okay. Fine.
and
I'll go.
going to do well in some of those ridings.
Bedtime, anyways.
Quite a bit, or tend to be older communities, and you're seeing the NDP vote really collapse there.
And clutch up, Iron Dude.
Part of the island, you're seeing a lot of orange-blue fights for sure, because working class voters, mill towns, old mining towns, those kinds of places where those working class messages really have an impact. But the thing is, if the NDP votes collapse, those ridings are more likely to go conservative than just about any.
Like, where my bet? It's right there. It's right there, bro.
Northern British Columbia. So it's going to be Canada. I heard somebody say earlier, BC is like a microcosm.
So is this Canada? Is this Canada 2? Is Liberaltown Canada 2? That's what I'm gonna call this village. Canada 2. We have already established a perfect. We're gonna call it a camp. This is lore accurate. We're gonna call it the school. We're gonna teach these children how to behave the right way, because I don't want them to lower their prices.
This will be your next government. We are getting the results momentarily. Seconds from now, it's a time we've all been waiting for. And there you have it. CTV News Decision Desk declaring
Yeah, we got a Liberal win! That's crazy. Already? Guys, everybody make... They made the call. Ah! Ah! We almost had an issue on our hands. Well, I fixed it. Okay.
I'm assuming there will be some kind of celebration.
They don't know it yet, but they will soon. Take a moment, give the Liberals.
I wonder what my blue collar co-workers are gonna think about this. They were talking about immigrating. If they had a, they're like, we gotta immigrate if it's a Liberal Party.
Mandate, you're absolutely right to point out that we don't know yet if it's a minority or it's a majority.
They don't know if it's a minority or a majority. Okay.
That they faced last year and over really the last 2 years, and to be able to pull off a win certainly speaks to a lot of things, not least of which is the presence of Donald Trump and the sort of ascent of Mark Carney, the role, I guess the storyline.
Well, there we go. We got the government. I'm not a big fan of the government.
11-seat losses for the Bloc, 5 for the Conservatives. A big part of this story will be Quebec. It will also help inform whether or not this turns into a majority government. We've got
wow. Another one. Another one bites the dust. Oh.
For that, Vashi, and it's because on the screens behind us, they are not playing our network somehow. We have lodged an official complaint with the Liberal Party, and I'm not saying official complaint, I mean that jokingly, but yeah, certainly I've been texting a number of Liberals, and it doesn't seem like they've gotten the message just yet, but when I was talking to a number of people before coming on, just here before we had declared it, a number of them were cautiously optimistic. That was the buzz phrase going through here, but really they were worried a little bit about how these numbers were going to be. The get out the vote issue, of course, as well. I'd spoken to one staffer who said that they saw big numbers in the early voting.
Big numbers. They have these types of bingo cards where we get a big numbers.
Checking off people very early in the day, so they're very confident that their people were getting out there and getting to vote. Highly motivated, as we know. A lot of people were very excited about Mark Carney and the change for the Liberal government. They have been talking about this. A number of people have been going to rallies across the country where I've been asking people, what do you think of Mark Carney and where this party has come from? I'll give you the example. Yesterday in Victoria, as I had said earlier in the show, 11:30 at night Pacific time. People had waited 90 minutes to see Mark Carney. And I asked one of the volunteers there, and I said, how has the change been?
You rigged the election. You did it. Well, I guess we figured it out. Okay. Did you? Who'd you rig it for? Did you do it? Did you? Yeah.
That staffer said to me it was
awesome.
Possible. They thought it could be possible.
Awesome,
that we could see a voter turnout of upwards of 70% because of how motivated people are, because of how they thought they were getting their vote there today, Vashi. And certainly, I know that when this starts to flow into this place, people will start to get excited.
God, man, I gotta stop pressing. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop.
And that is why you're hearing people
Oh.
getting excited right now. Because, as I had mentioned, we declared it first. Another network is...
Another Liberal. We did it. Yay! We did it again. Woo!
Likely a bit of relief as well, Vashi, because there were
So what's the call? Did we win for realsies? Like, oh, that looks pretty significant. I don't know about you guys.
Now that they're seeing them, certainly some excitement. And as I said, probably looking at this and saying they now hope that it'll turn into a majority of some sort. But really, they're not sure about that. The people that I were talking to inside the campaign, unclear if they think that they did enough at this point to try and get that majority government, Vashi.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. We'll take a look at the
Liberal win for sure, but we don't know if it's a majority or minority type shit. Type shit everyone knows.
Just joining. We have declared here at CTV News a Liberal win. We do not know yet if it will be a majority or a minority government. You can take a look at some of the seat totals now in leading and elected. The magic number, Omar, that we're paying attention for is 172.
It is a remarkable comeback, as you just pointed out a couple of minutes ago. I mean, this was a party that was down about 20 percentage points and has now.
Why go mining when you got a village with scared little people, bro? No wonder this is Canada. Y'all really need me to do all your bidding. Fine, I'll take your rats out of here.
Foreign policy is not always that dominant
Got a bunch of stuff.
We're not just talking about
Bunch of stuff.
We're talking about the U.S. We're talking about that massive trading relationship between Canada and the U.S. I believe the last time it was this powerful or this significant was back in 1988. That was a free trade election. But given the relationship that this country has with the United States, how close that is economically in terms of, the fact that we've got family across the border, we've got connections across the border. That is what has been the dominant topic in this election, and obviously voters feel as though Mark Carney is the best steward at this time to navigate.
This will make one of this, one of those.
The Conservatives had a different message around change, which is still proving to be, very popular, just not as popular as the concept of what Trump is threatening, which isn't just the economy like it was in 1988 and 1984, but also our sovereignty, like our very existence as a country. And I think that's obviously informed the outcome tonight. Let's swing over to Heather Butts, who's got a deeper dive into some of these results.
Thanks so much, Vashi. Yes, we are looking at that Liberal win. And of course, the results that people want to know, well, how did you get here? How did we declare this Liberal win?
Minecraft.
We'll take a look at
What do I do now? I'm kind of like, I gotta just wait for my crafts to grow.
So the decision desk, the House of Commons
Guess I can go mining.
probability of a
Mining arc.
actually is 24%
I want
for the Liberals.
one more iron though.
Of a majority, and I
Wait, I know how to do that. I know how to get it. You're never gonna believe the kind of genius that I am.
Anywhere from 152 to 180 seats. That would be the maximum this evening, and of course,
Whoa! They got so many seats.
Majority marker that we've been talking about this evening. And looking at the Conservatives, the decision desk is projecting the Conservatives will receive winning anywhere between 119 and 144 seats this evening. And of course, that not lining up with the minimum of the Liberals. And so that's how that math, of course, works out. These numbers based on historical data, riding information that we receive, research, and of course, your votes, because we have been watching these numbers ebb and flow. It's a forecast, it's a range, and so they've been moving this evening as your votes are counted and come in through those polling stations. Of course, take a look at the Bloc Québécois and the NDP. The decision desk projecting anywhere from 18 to 30 seats would be the maximum for the Bloc Québécois. The NDP, a minimum of anywhere from 12 to 28 seats. And again,
Time to go, it's time to go. PP would have made Mario Kart $105. That's so true. PP would have made it $110.
That's when we really start to look towards the Bloc and the NDP to see how things play out in Ottawa. Back to you.
I mean, it's stupid.
All right, thank you so much, Heather. Heather was a deeper dive there into some of the numbers. The Liberals, CTV News, has been able to declare a reform government. We keep our eye on those numbers at the bottom of the screen to see whether or not it will be a majority or a minority. We want to get some analysis to this significant moment in the night from our top strategists, Corey Tonight, Kathleen Monk, and Scott Reed. Corey, I'll start with you. We talked earlier, Omar mentioned that you
found
for criticizing the Conservative campaign for not focusing on Donald Trump enough. Is this outcome emblematic of that, in your view?
I think that's part of it.
I'm gonna go over here with the super cape. The super cape!
It was largely put in jeopardy before the campaign even began. I think the biggest strategic error that the Conservatives had going into this election was pounding Justin Trudeau and the Liberals with tens of millions of dollars of pre-read advertising to the point where they drove them down to 18-19% in the polls and made it an existential question around the leadership of the Liberal Party. And it's not just Trump; it's the loss of Trudeau. if you think of this election race as if Pierre Poilievre was fighting against Justin Trudeau, you kept everything else the same, we'd be having a Conservative majority tonight, I believe. So I think it was a big strategic error. We just went too hard in the lead up to the campaign, and we got rid of the guy who was going to deliver a victory for us, and that guy was Justin Trudeau. That said, you know, there was still, I think,
This guy's speaking facts. This guy's speaking facts. This guy's speaking like I can't believe this guy. This guy's actually speaking facts.
Was going on. There was a real vacuum there. That's the vacuum that Ford stepped into, but
He's bad, but he's speaking facts, bro.
There was an opportunity for the federal Conservatives to do the same. But all of that to say, you know, this is a heartbreaking night for Conservatives across the country. And I think there's...
Come here, you son of a bitch. You're a coward and you're a fraud.
But also see what Carney and the
We're good.
Liberals will
It's all
do.
good.
Are they going to reach out?
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Money. It's giving me money.
I think are really poignant. You know, there's going to be a need to build some bridges to parts of the country that really felt left out by this Liberal government over the last 10 years.
It's a super salient point, Kathleen. I think at the same time as we look at what might have went wrong for the Conservatives, it's fair to look at what went right for the Liberals and give them their due, and give Mark Carney his due, who a few months ago was a complete political neophyte. Obviously, rumors for years that he never dispelled that he was going to run, but this is quite the turnaround story, led very specifically by him.
For sure, from funeral march to victory.
New Mason Rose video releasing tonight. That's crazy.
3 months and Prime Minister for 9 days, and now it looks like he will form government, to be determined whether it's minority or majority, but definitely a win. I'll build on what Corey said earlier. The Conservatives not only preconditioned Canadians to dislike Justin Trudeau through their millions of dollars of ads, they also did the same thing to Jagmeet Singh, running millions of dollars of ads against Mr. Singh as well. And he's paying the price. He's feeling that tonight. In fact, the national polling looks like New Democrats aren't even hitting what pollsters predicted. For New Democrats was their strategy of moving early to protect incumbents, to focus on those local campaigns.
Why does Canada get to have a Liberal president? No.
It's going to be all, 24. But will they reach party status? Or
Presidential election, we did it. We did it.
the beachheads we talked about earlier?
My fellow Canadians,
But if they start to lose beachheads,
I am Canadian Obama.
or in the prairies, that is
I will be Obama, but Canada.
The NDP, that percentage that Kathleen just referenced, is a huge
And
part
this is
of the
Michelle.
story tonight as well.
She's also Canadian.
I think as the evening goes on and these seat totals mount, I think we'll see that it's even more significant. They're really underperforming what were incredibly low expectations already, particularly when you take a look at the province of Ontario. We'll see as more numbers come in from BC, that could be very consequential in trying for the Liberals whether or not they meet this majority line. I just want to add one thing. I really want to underline this point about what an astonishing, historical, unbelievable, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it if this was a movie kind of event this is for the Liberal Party of Canada. Like, they were dead and buried, covered in topsoil and leaves, left by the side of the road.
We covered their funeral
4 months ago.
For months.
Yeah.
For 2 years, in fact.
A couple weeks after Justin Trudeau stepped down, announced that he would step down in January, a friend called me and said, I can't believe this story about Mark Carney. He's not really going to run, is he? Why would he leave the life that he has in order to take on this certain death march? Why on earth would he do it? And I said, well, because he thinks he can win. And there was laughter on the other side of the phone. And, here we are, 3 months later, and he has pulled this off. It is astonishing. For someone who never ran for elected office, never held elected office, walked in and has pulled off something that's astonishing and unseen before in electoral history in Canada.
Very quickly.
I think there's one other thing that's really important to reflect on in this, and that is this collapse of the NDP and what drove that, because I think Trump is part of that story. I think it was probably a much bigger part of the story with the Bloc Québécois. But I think there's a question as to whether or not the type of campaign that the Conservatives ran was so frightening to NDP voters that they gave up their decades-long voting preference to vote Liberal for a Bay Street banker, which is not really a likely place that you would think that would go. So I think to give the Conservative Party credit, like they have built their base to, I think, a historic level. But in doing so, they may have moved the goalpost further away if the result of that is the collapse of the NDP to that degree.
But if I get like copyrighted because I'm just leaving blank spaces for too long, that's gonna suck. Do I just gotta start yapping about like random stuff? Because I don't want CTV to get my ass, bro.
Well, I think there's got to be a lot of questions asked around that, but I don't think there's one conservative party. This is why you see so few conservative governments at the federal level. There's really like 5 different conservative parties across the country, and what constitutes, conservatism on the prairies, which is where I'm from, it looks a lot different in Ontario, where I am now, or in BC, or in Quebec, or in the Maritimes, and you have to try to find a through line through these disparate types of conservatives that often have some pretty big internal contradictions within them. So it's a real challenge, and I think
I find this stupid. Where are you?
That challenge, and to try to find a through line through those different things is going to be the challenge for the party.
We keep our eyes peeled, I should say, at the bottom and the right of our screen as we try and determine whether or not this will be a Liberal minority or a Liberal majority. Very competitive things going on in the 905, which is a very key electoral region of Ontario, just outside Toronto. It looks at this point, early indications that the Conservatives are picking up a significant number of seats at the Liberals' expense in there. So that's something that could very much inform whether this is
No.
in Liberal territory.
No.
With our senior political correspondent, Mike LeCouture, who is there live for us. Mike, take us inside the room if you could.
Yeah, Vashi, a very familiar face to people in the Liberal Party here with me. David Lametti, former Justice Minister, also good friend of Mark Carney. He has been advising informally. Mr. Carney, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Lametti. I mean, first off, these results, what do you think of them? And what would you have told me if I said that this is what it was going to be just a couple of months ago?
Look, it's still early tonight. I'm watching, obviously, carefully what the Bloc vote is in Quebec. I'm watching what the NDP does. We're evolving into a 2-horse race, and none of us are used to that, so none of us are being able to predict. That being said, I'll say it to you, I said it to Mark Carney a number of times since January, both in the leadership and throughout. I said, Mark, if you had asked me if I would take these numbers 6 months ago, I would take them, and I would tell you that I would take them.
Can go to the nether right away.
In December, beginning of December, now we're going to form government. Now, whether it's majority or minority, I'm hoping it's majority. We've turned this right around, and thanks to Mark. It's Mark's leadership, Mark's personality, Mark's intelligence that got us through this. He showed Canadians a real change and a backbone that can stand up against Mr. Trump.
So when you think about where you were and the
Okay.
experiences that you've had with today,
I got 2 key away here.
Mark's singularly focused on winning this. We'll get to next steps next, but he is singularly.
That'd be cocky or anything. That'd be awful. Unfortunately, cockiness doesn't beat skill.
when you see what you're seeing with the numbers,
Hello, asshole.
how realistic is
I can take you now.
Again, it's early. Again, I'm looking at the Bloc numbers and the NDP numbers in a 2-horse race. If we can maintain those races and win Liberal seats, I think we're going to be all right.
You had told me a story off air about introducing Mark Carney essentially to the Liberal Party, bringing him to a Christmas party after you gotten shuffled out of cabinet. So are you to thank for all of this?
No, I'm not to thank. Mark Carney's to thank because of his experience and his leadership capacity, his intellect. But he's an old friend, and I thought I would invite him to the party. And there were a lot of Carney-curious people there at the time.
What is it about him, in your mind, that has that singular focus that has brought him to this point right now?
Supremely intelligent and masters the dossiers. I've already seen him in briefings where he can turn the briefing around and say, yeah, I get that, but we're going to do this, and this. And he clearly grasps what's happening immediately in the briefing, and he turns it around to give a direction and a plan. And I think this is something unique, and I think he's the right person for the moment.
with millions of Canadians watching, what kind of a prime minister are we going to have right now? Because you have served under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. A lot of people talk about the differences between these two men. What can Canadians expect of Mark Carney?
They can expect sincere, thoughtful, intelligent policy responses and policy platforms, policy ideas that will help Canadians, especially with respect to economics. This is Mark's bread and butter. This is what he is going to bring to Canada.
I got to let you go, but I have to ask you this. You're his friend. Are you coming back?
I will serve if Mark asks me to. I'm happy where I am right now at Fasken, believe me. But this is an important moment in Canadian history. This is an important moment for the country with an existential threat from the United States. So I've worked hard to get Mark elected, and I'll continue to support him.
In what way? What do you want to do?
I'll continue to support him. I'm happy to give informal advice if that's what it is.
Okay. All right, Vashi, you can't say I didn't try with David Lametti here, but, you know, he's a cabinet minister. He knows how to answer a question. Send it back to you.
He's a dogged reporter, that Michael Couture.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it's a good picture into the behind the scenes of what's responsible for this. Obviously, it's Mark Carney, but the people behind him, Marco Mendicino, David Lametti, and Jerry Butts in particular, were three of the kind of key
Jerry Butts.
people who are, you know, very much associated with the former prime minister in executing this win for Mark Carney. So interesting comments there from David Lametti. I have a guess that he will be part of the office, the prime minister's office, but that's just a guess.
All right, you heard it here first. I'd be interested to see what
Check
happens.
DM. Oh, I got it. Oh, there's a whole.
Then, of course, this was a riding that the Liberals held, that the Bloc took away. We'll try to track that to see where the numbers are shaping up. But let's get to the Bloc Québécois. Province-wide isn't doing that great, but we
Discord
know that
is in the way.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet, CTV News declaring him as the winner in that riding. He is, of course, the incumbent.
That's it.
So
That's the
story
thing.
there is that he retains his
Oh, God.
seat in Belleuil-Chambly, but again, province-wide.
Yep.
Suffering quite a hit in that province. I want to just get
Chat. I gotta hold on. Chat.
wing of the party where people.
And we're back. And holy moly, dropped to 0 viewers with Luigi.
That the media is lying to you all the time. That exists in our country, and I think it's only going to grow as a result of this. Unless the Liberals get a strong majority and.
My fault, Joe. That was right next to the mic. I know there's 0 viewers, but like.
A win is a win, but
there's going to be a lot of bitterness amongst conservatives, though. And I think Bill's absolutely right. I mean, Corey Tonight, just behind us, has been Cassandra through this entire campaign, and now we see what the result is. But conservatives are also going to say, I think, what do we have to do to win power? I mean, we had it in the bag, and look what happened.
Well, without the NDP around, they have to move to the center. I think that's the only way they can do that. I mean, I think Doug Ford felt emotionally the moment when Donald Trump got too involved in this country, and he expressed that. And I think Pierre Poilievre waited too long to show it. He was on my show 4 or 5 days ago, and he expressed it now. We saw it in his tweet today.
Yeah, but too late.
That needed to happen weeks earlier, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions raised about that.
Radio talk show hosts can keep talking, so I'm going to have to wrap you up.
One more thing.
No, Bashing, take it over, Bashing, go.
And certainly, we could listen to them for a lot longer. I think everything that you just heard was totally accurate. But we have another call to make. In this case, we are declaring Mark Carney elected in his Ottawa area riding of Nepean. Not a difficult battle for Mark Carney, not unexpected in any way. Mark Carney will remain Prime Minister and form government. You can see there we have declared him the winner in his riding as well. He has never Omar sat as a member of Parliament. In fact, this will be when Parliament is set to resume later this month, or in May rather. This will be his first time in Parliament.
No stranger to big issues, but a political neophyte, and that riding, of course, adjacent to Pierre Poilievre's riding of Carleton. Let's get to CTV Geneviève Beauchemin at Liberal headquarters, and it's always less awkward, Geneviève, when a Prime Minister has won his own seat.
Oh, absolutely. And it will be not a surprise here, but a bit of a relief. It's almost like we're clearing hurdles for people in this room now. There was this big sigh of relief and enthusiasm when it was called that it was going to be at least a Liberal government. We still don't know minority or majority, so they're waiting for that. And now to hear
still no minority or majority.
It is that next hurdle. And of course, this is a big. People are talking to me today about door knocking, trying to get the vote out. Every single vote out, door knocking from Mark Carney, and they said they really saw a big change, of course, when after Trudeau stepped down in January. They said that they started talking to people and they saw a major shift, and so they felt that this was what was going to happen tonight. But they're still watching really nervously, and there's a lot of talk about the situation of Quebec here as well, because of course we're in Ontario here, but they're watching how much Quebec is handing of seats to the Liberal Party. So certainly this is something they're watching very closely. And as I say, a lot of enthusiasm. The eyes here all still on the screen. Still a lot of anticipation and nervous energy in the room now.
All right, we'll check in with you a little bit later. And of course, another Liberal leadership contender, Chrystia Freeland, there has won her seat.
Booey.
CTV News Decision Desk is projecting and has a lead of about 1,000 votes with 10 of the 205 polls reporting. It'll be interesting. We were talking about the fact that Mark Carney is a political neophyte. It'll be interesting to see in the days and months to come how he evolves into that role of a politician, because it is a cutthroat game.
Well, and who he surrounds himself with. So, for example, Chrystia Freeland, who in that cabinet he made just before the writ drop, moved from being deputy prime minister after all that chaos and drama with Justin Trudeau to the portfolio of transport. What kind of desire there is to project, more change and how he reassembles cabinet. Something to keep our eye on. CTV declaring Leslyn Lewis, one of contenders for leadership in Haldimand, Norfolk. I think we just saw Chrystia Freeland. I think I'm also hearing Leslie Church might have flipped Toronto St. Paul's back to the Liberals. Leslie Church was chief of staff to Chrystia Freeland for a period of time. That by-election for Toronto St. Paul's really like the pinnacle of the Liberal dissent in public opinion polling, and there it is. There we've declared Leslie Church a win in Toronto St. Paul's, taking it from Mr. Stewart, the Conservative candidate, who had surprised everybody when he did win.
And there we have it, Leslie Church, again for the Liberals there in Toronto St. Paul's. Let's go to Maya Johnson, who's standing by in Montreal. Maya.
All right, it is very loud here at Liberal Watch Party in downtown Montreal. We are here.
The Liberals are loud because they're excited. Stupid Liberals. Stupid. 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 Stupid.
And congratulations, because now we have the results. And just a few months ago, this seemed completely improbable. The Liberals winning this election.
Yeah, look, it didn't look good. I had hope. I'd say probably we deserve to be where we were a couple months ago. A lot of infighting. I think things changed for a number of reasons.
Pumpkin. Pumpkin.
Took the right decision
Pumpkin.
for the country to step back.
Pumpkin.
There's the Trump threat that we all got together and really focused on Canadian sovereignty, on tariffs, and the existential threat to Canada and to the economy, 1 million jobs potentially at risk. And I think that focused the mind. The coming of Mark Carney, I think, is very important. A guy that has extremely important leadership credibility, resume, and the work that he's done before he became a politician. I think that was very important. A leadership race that reinvigorated the team and got people motivated for this election. So I think a number of things, including how we ran this election, which was a positive message around affordability, around fighting Trump, and about the leadership that Mark Carney provides for Canadians. And I think Canadians bought into that, as well as rejecting some of the negativity that we heard from the Conservatives.
You said that Justin Trudeau made the right decision in deciding to step aside to allow the party to renew itself. Obviously, Mark Carney does not have any political experience. He has not held a seat in the House of Commons before. Do you think that will be a challenge for him as we navigate a very complicated time?
Well, look, he has an exceptional resume. It's unparalleled in Canada. But he is a political rookie, and so perhaps he's a guy that learns really quickly on the job, and we've seen that throughout the election. But again, we've put a rookie in with 3 games to go in the regular season, and we're about to win it all. So I think that speaks to his ability to learn. But being in caucus, being in government is a different thing. I have all the confidence in his leadership skills to be able to do that. But again, he is new, and Canadians will judge for themselves. But tonight really is one that I think we should just focus on Canadians' choice, and Canadians are never wrong.
We'll let you live this moment live with us as it happens. You can
No way.
there's a lot of excitement in this room.
What's going on?
This is an outcome that I think goes beyond
What's going on?
supporters were expecting. So I'm going to throw it back to you at the desk so you can take it away.
All right, Maya, thank you so much. And right now, we're just waiting to see basically if that Liberal government is a majority government or a minority government. But certainly, remarkable comeback for Liberals, whatever political stripe you wear. I want to throw it over to Anne-Marie right now with her panel. Anne-Marie.
Okay, James Moore, you published an article very recently that said, always look on the brighter side of life, Monty Python. How are you looking right now?
Look, I'm a lifelong conservative, a proud conservative, but I'm a Canadian first. And congratulations to Prime Minister Carney. He is my Prime Minister, and I congratulate him on a remarkable turnaround of the Liberal Party to land him his victory tonight. The burden that falls on him now as the Prime Minister of this country, we should never forget the final speeches that Brian Mulroney gave before he left us last year, which is to remind us that the first obligation of any Prime Minister, before anything else, before you pave an inch of highway, before you pass a law, before you do anything, the first obligation of the Prime Minister of this country is national unity. And there are some real cleavages and gaps in this country. A lot of people feel left behind. Ron has spoken about how a lot of people in the Alberta and the energy sector have felt left out and beaten up and disrespected for a really long time. And there are a lot of things that Prime Minister Carney can do in order to heal those gaps and heal those divides and make this country a more united and better place. He's talked about them. He's said some good things. He's seen some examples in the past. But like when Conservatives talk about Bill C-69, I know it sounds sort of legislative, minutia.
Right.
But there's some really good, thoughtful ideas, good policy proposals.
I need
absolutely be at any government in this country, whether it's blue or red, that would heal a lot of divides, that would make Albertans, make Westerners feel like they're part of this country. And there are a lot of things.
Time to go up. Come on.
Open to those ideas, and hopefully he is open to doing what any prime minister who's worthy of the office will do, which is to.
I could try to find a lush cave. I could go deeper. I could go the nether.
Sovereignty, Canada Strong, Canada First. Ron, I want
to nether. Let's do it.
The screen and see Liberal win. What's my reaction tonight?
Well, I think James articulated it very well. There's going to be a lot of healing to do. I think the one thing strategically that is going to be difficult is a big part of this win is Quebec.
And we know that Quebec is at odds with the energy sector. And so how will Mark Carney balance that out? He owes a lot to Quebec. Quebec, we've talked about all of a sudden there's a consensus on pipelines. Still difficult to convince Quebecers to build an energy pipeline. Where are we going to put it? How are we going to do this? And so who does he owe something to after tonight? He owes probably a lot to Quebec voters. So that's another cleavage. It's east and west. It's not just rural and urban. It's not just young and old. So we've got some things to heal. And I think when we look at the results, even if you look at Doug Ford's results in 2025, even at over 39% or close to 39%.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. This is salvageable, salvageable. I did not do it right at all. I missed something. I missed a step. Maybe we go one more.
Massive collapse of the NDP. Who would have ever thought the NDP would be at 4%? So that's also a big story tonight to me, to see the NDP, to see a leader that really just drove this party into a ditch. And so I'm sure
you put that on the leader.
I put it on any leader. I mean, there was an opportunity, I think, for Jagmeet Singh or for any NDP leader to create a differentiation between the Liberal leader, who someone mentioned is a banker, and the type of people that normally vote Socialist and NDP. So it's surprising to me that a 4% result for the NDP is shocking.
I need
see a new NDP obviously would make a difference in the future.
I need
Sure, you're talking about leaders,
Frigid Steel.
Let's talk about Pierre Poilievre as a leader. What was it about his leadership
Come here, you.
that people said
Have a Bowie.
Well, just remember, he actually grew the base of the Conservative Party. He tonight delivered a vote that won us a majority under Stephen Harper. He's grown the base of the party. The progressive vote has completely gone to the Liberals, and the NDP completely collapsed. I do think that Jagmeet Singh has to take some responsibility for that. He had an opportunity to differentiate himself from the Liberals, and he wasn't able to.
Harjit, I'm going to let you jump in, but I wanted to say something that I think is really interesting, is that this became a fight about who could stand up to Donald Trump. But do you think any of the leaders imagined that we were going to have what you are talking about now, Rana, which is we've got to look at how do we unify a country, let alone fight what's coming from south of the border? Harjit, I'm going to let you jump in.
That's that point. I mean, Canadians were united on a message of rejection of Trump, right? That's what this election was largely about. Now they're picking a leader who they felt that can best lead them to deal with Trump. And we can't, I mean, at the end of the day, we can't blame the forces of one party towards a big downfall of another, right? At the end of the day, now it's everybody needs to be united. It's very important. I personally think that
Another fortress. Let me do my let me do my
British Columbia.
It's over here.
Well, this thing is, here's an opportunity for him to prove it, right? He started his leadership.
What, I want to go to -50, -100, sure.
There's work to be done. It means there's a lot of work.
Someone keep track of that for me.
Has an opportunity now to potentially take the Liberals to majority territory as well, which I
I did not have any gold.
I think with all the concerns,
I don't have any gold on me.
We are united. We want all of you united on focusing together. I think that's what needs to happen right now.
I think the other message from Canadians that's really important is that we care about the economy. People are really concerned about their economic health.
But that used to mean the Conservatives.
Well, and then Mark Carney came along. And Mark Carney, I mean, he's a guy with a lot of experience, and we know all about that. But he has been talking about resource development, which is, I think, is great. I mean, we started the LNG industry in Canada. In my government, he has all kinds of opportunity. Electing Liberals in British Columbia might be 20 of them.
Hello?
Giving him the majority, who will continue to support resource development. So if we
do whatever you want, man.
We'll create lots of high-paying jobs for lots of working people in the country.
I almost did that. Almost.
We can do things like
This nether sucks.
system, but also it will
Sucks, man. I
to
don't do this no more.
beyond Canada's borders to the world, and not just to the United States. He's made diversifying our markets around the world a real priority, and I think he's going to stick with that. I don't think he's a guy who sits around and says, oh, gee, I owe this province or another for electing me. I think he's a guy that says, I want to fix the economy, I want to grow Canada, I want to unite the country, and so that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, then what does Pierre Poilievre say? Because you have a government now that you have a party, sorry, that has had 3 leaders in 3 elections, and they
I'm
haven't
still
been able to
lost.
break
I'm
through.
still
So what
lost.
does that say, Rana?
No bueno.
And Tom, thank you.
No bueno. Oh,
I want to get back to what we were talking about before in the NDP because it is shocking to me, and it's a bit of a body blow to see the NDP lose party status. We've been talking about it as a real possibility, but it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. It is, I think,
howdy, gang.
of a very bad decision.
Howdy, fellas.
To lose the distinction.
Lovely weather we're having on this fine day.
And the day they signed that,
Am I right, YNs?
I made the point. What's the business case going to be on the door?
Lock in.
How do you talk to voters?
Unfortunately,
Don't vote for those
I'm
things.
almost out of food.
Vote for us. And the answer is going to be, but you've been voting for them for the past 3 years. So that lack of distinction made it very easy for progressive voters to say, look, this is a time that's like no other.
Thank you all for coming to the Minecraft live stream event.
And we're going to
Today we learned that the Liberals will be winning the Minecraft election, the Canadian election.
to the Liberals as well tonight. And I want to reassure Rona on her concern with regard to Quebec because something incredible happened over the past few months because François Legault had been categorically opposed to pipelines across Quebec and now is open to discussing it. There was a huge LNG project in the Saguenay that he had said no to categorically, and he says he's now open to discussing. So I think that is one of the things that Carney has brought to this discussion. He said this is about building the...
No way I can clutch this up, right? There's no way I can do this. Watch me. We go to the cheap.
You got to help me, or we've got to say no to the energy sector because you got to